for Wednesday, April 17th, 2019. We called to order. Roll call, please.
Calling the roll, Mr. Tuma.
Here.
Mr. Miller. Here. Ms. Conwell. Here. Mr. Schrein. Mr. Schrein is absent. Ms. Baker. There is a quorum.
Okay. Is there any public comment?
No, Mr. Chair, no one is signed in.
Okay, if I could have approval of the minutes from the March 20th, 2019 meeting, please. Motion?
A motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. And Madam Clerk, if you could, the first matter referred to committee, and this is a final public hearing, this first matter.
Resolution number 2019-0094, approving and accepting a plat covering the vacation of a certain portion of Warrensville Center Road located in the city of Shaker Heights as a county road.
Okay. And with that, we will now open the final public hearing for consideration of a resolution approving and accepting a plot covering the vacation of a certain portion of Warrensville Center Road located in the city of Shaker Heights pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code. Any correspondence received for or against the resolution from citizens who do not testify will be distributed to all council members and will become part of the official public record for this hearing. I will now recognize anyone who wishes to speak for or against the proposed resolution. Please come to the podium, state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to make your presentation. Is there any proponents in favor of this legislation here? Okay, seeing none. Are there any opponents of the legislation here? Okay, with that, the public hearing is officially closed. I think I'll do this. Okay, okay. Says here, ask the department representatives to address the committee. Is there anything you wish to address the committee with regarding this item?
Nicole English with Public Works. Just to remind you that there was a viewing on March 25th. We've been following these steps along as prescribed by the ORC. This is our last step in order to finalize, and we would ask for second reading suspension. Okay.
And with that, then I'll make a motion for second reading suspension on this.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for our 2019-0094. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, and the ayes have it, and we'll move this on to the full council. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, if you could read the next item referred to committee.
Resolution number 2019-0080, making an award on requisition number 44742 to Carvo Companies in the amount not to exceed $1,782,778.80 for resurfacing Cedar Road from Psalm Center Road to Chagrin River Road in the villages of Gates Mill and Hunting Valley.
Okay, and if you could please state your name for the record.
Nicole English with Public Works. So this is making an award recommendation of one of our operations projects for 2019. This is typically an 80-20 arrangement where the county pays 80%, the municipality pays 20%. The difference here being that Hunting Valley had requested that we extend the project beyond what we had initially proposed from Woodstock to Chagrin River Road and do some intersection work, so they are paying for that 100%. So it ends up, the percentages get closer to 55% county, 7% Gates Mills, and 40% Hunting Valley for them to pay for their share. The engineer's estimate was 1.9 million. The lowest bid, which we are asking for approval on, is 1.782. So slightly under. There was diversity goals that were set, and their diversity plan was approved by OPD. And so we're asking for approval on this and hopefully second reading suspension, just because it's road work. We'd like to get them out as soon as possible.
Okay, how much was Gates Hunting Valley paying percentage-wise? You said 55.7 and 40.
40%, correct.
Okay, so it's 55.7 and 40% is what it ended up being. Correct.
Yeah, something is off by a slight number there. So there's, I think, points that they're rounded up, but I can get you exact numbers.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because we have over. Okay. So it was originally part of the 80-20.
Correct. Our operations jobs.
Okay, and then they requested an extension of this project, and they picked up more of the cost as a result.
So the part that we're doing, essentially the center line splits between the two communities, and then Cedar Road sort of bends to the south, which then it all becomes in Hunting Valley, and they just wanted to do the whole road.
Okay.
They figured might as well go in at one time.
Okay. All right. Any questions on this piece of legislation? Mr. Miller?
What was the diversity goal and how was it met?
They're meeting 7% SBE, 15.6% MBE, and 7% WBE, so essentially 30%.
And were these percentages determined by applying the information that we received from the disparity study?
I think, yes, Lenora sets them out of her department, so I can have her.
Okay.
Good morning, Lenora Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity. Yes, the goal for the MBE and WB participation are based on a disparity study, their determination of the availability of those firms in this category, construction.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Baker, did you have a question? Okay. Any further questions on this?
Move for approval, second
okay.
reading suspension.
We'll move for approval. We have a motion for second reading suspension and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And we'll move this on to second reading suspension. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2019-0096, making an award on requisition number 44617 to EnviroCom Construction, the amount not to exceed $989,500 for the Medical Examiner Building Improvements Project.
Okay, and if you could just state your name for the record.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Matt Reimer with the Department of Public Works.
Okay, and what is the purpose of this resolution here?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, committee members, this is an award recommendation to EnviroCom Construction for a capital project for a fire alarm system and HVAC improvements at the Medical Examiner building in Cleveland, Ohio. The Medical Examiner building is a 1969 structure, 7 floors tall, 168,000 square feet, and it has a 111,000 square feet parking garage and storage warehouse attached to it as well. This scope of work was competitively bid with a formal request for bid. 3 bid packages were received, all compliant, and good bids, good tight bids associated and both with each other and to the county estimate. The scope of work on this includes extending fire alarm devices to our new digital fire alarm panel on the 1st, 4th, 5th, and 6th floors. The remaining floors are already covered by that new digital fire alarm panel. Also partial replacement of fire alarm devices on the ground and 2nd floors. Complete fire alarm device replacement in the parking garage structure. We're extending fire protection sprinkler systems to the 2nd and 3rd floor areas that aren't currently covered by sprinkler. And we're doing some HVAC modifications that will bring the building back into balance with its HVAC systems.
Okay, and the lowest and best bidder was awarded this?
Yes, we had 5 alternates up for consideration. We're recommending moving forward with 3 of the 5 alternates. When you consider the alternates, this is the lowest and best bidder.
Okay. Any questions from my colleagues?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
What was the engineer's estimate?
The engineer's estimate, inclusive of the alternates that we're considering, sir, was $929,203, which was 6% below the recommended award value of $989,500.
And do you have any sense of why the bids exceeded the engineer's estimate?
We do. So all 3 bids did exceed the engineer's estimate by a factor of about 6 to 8%, looking at the bid results. We believe it's because of the level of effort that it takes to install these new fire alarm devices and then physically, rewire them back down to the ground floor control panel. So you got to go through existing building systems and conduit chases to do that. So we think that's where the difference is on the level of effort between the estimate and the bids received.
Are there diversity goals on this project?
There were. There was a diversity goal of 2% SBE, 6% WBE, 17% MBE, and this particular vendor was marked as compliant with a 31% SBE submission, 31.4% SBE submission.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Baker, you had something?
Yeah, just a couple things. Just reading over the resolution. It says it's a fire alarm system for office building and parking structure. So what type of fire alarm system are you putting in the parking structure?
So the parking structure is covered by a fire alarm system. We're modernizing the fire alarm system
Okay.
to be in compliant with Cleveland Fire Prevention and Safety requirements. So this will just replace the existing systems that are in that facility.
And just a curious question too, on the second and third floor, you're adding sprinklers. So how could a building not have sprinklers to begin with?
So the building was constructed in 1969 and was not fully sprinklered at that time, to the best of my knowledge. There have been additional projects along the years that have added fire suppression in various areas. For whatever reason, there are not sprinklered spaces where we're proposing here. Once we complete this, we'll be fully sprinklered.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's scary that hasn't had sprinkler system in there, so. Just as an aside, I don't want to take too much time on something, but as an aside, does the county do regular maintenance on the buildings as far as checking for compliance and updating the sprinkler systems and such?
Absolutely, we'll work.
Okay,
Very
so
closely with this.
why was that, unnoticed or not taken care of sooner? That seems like it's,
I don't know that I can offer
just
an
seems like
answer to
it's-
that, Mr. Chairman.
yeah, it seems like it's this pretty dangerous situation without sprinklers there, that's all.
It's
I know it's a
a,
medical examiner's building, but, still people in there.
True, it's a relatively small amount of square footage compared to the overall building. It's 3,400 square feet out of the entire building, but still, yes.
Okay.
My project manager.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Deborah Shaw. I'm a project manager. There were several floors in the building that were built out by University Hospital, which is our tenant. And during the time frame that this was done, sprinklers were not required. So we pieced into it. When we did the crime lab, which we took back part of the third floor, we sprinklered that, and we just didn't have enough funds to do University Hospital's tenant space on the third floor at that time. And the other space on the second floor is also University Hospital's tenant space. So when they just recently remodeled their second floor, they did add sprinklers. So the fire department requested that the next time we did a project, we do this. It would have been done with the data center, but we didn't do it, so now we're doing it.
Okay, I appreciate the explanation, thank you. Okay, anything further on this? Okay,
Can you add my name?
okay, Ms. Conwell wants to add her name to this as well. And with that, obviously, given the need for sprinkler system, you're looking for second reading suspension on this.
If you could consider it, Mr. Chairman, we would
yeah.
so request it.
I'll make that motion, and is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for second reading suspension on R 2019-0096. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, the next resolution, please.
Resolution number 2019-0097, making an award on requisition number 43165 to Interlogic Solar in the amount not to exceed $1,200,206.13 for the purchase of electricity generated by rooftop solar systems.
Okay, and if you could state your name for the record.
Mike Foley, Department of Sustainability.
Okay, Mr. Foley, what's this resolution request about?
So I've got a small, short PowerPoint I just wanted
okay.
to walk through if I could do that. Okay, so this is for rooftop solar on 3 county buildings that we have. It will be approximately 2,600 solar panels on the animal shelter, the Harvard Road garage, and the medical examiner's building. We did an RFP last fall, had 2 bidders bid on the RFP. They came in approximately at the same price. We chose Interlogics as the best bid. And basically, what we're going to be doing is a power purchase agreement. So this is basically, we're going to be buying the electricity from the solar panels that are going to be put on top of the roofs. It'll start at 9.89 cents a kilowatt hour, and it'll be a 10-year contract, but it'll be a series of 10-year contracts. It'll kind of be based on how we did the Brooklyn landfill solar project. It'll be doing, the nice thing about this is that we don't have to put any upfront money on this. The developers will own the panels, they will maintain the panels, they'll insure the panels. There's no capital costs to the county. And by having a developer own these things, we're able to take advantage of the federal tax credits that exists. So there's the 30% federal tax credit that if you put panels in to play before the end of the year, we're able to take advantage of. By the end of the year, those tax credits start ramping down to lower rates starting in 2020. Good thing, the other thing is that putting solar panels on rooftops is that it's a hedge against electricity cost increases on both the distribution and the supply side. Reading the papers, I think we're going to get more increases in electric costs over the next couple years. There's a big bill right now in the General Assembly that could increase costs. It helps with peak demand reduction charges by having solar in your rooftop. One of the ways that distribution charges are levied on off-takers is that utilities look at your peak demand for buildings. So this would lessen our peak demand during the hottest times of the year when our charges are at the greatest. So when we're using the most air conditioning basically in the middle of summer, this will help offset some of those costs. We've modeled out that over a 25-year period, solar panels are warranted to last at least 25 years. So in year 80, they will produce 80% of in year 25, they will produce 80% of the electricity they produce in year 1. So we modeled this out over 25 years, and compared to just kind of a business as usual model, if we didn't do anything else and just bought power off the grid, we'll save about $900,000 over the 25-year period. And then I think a big thing that we're excited about is that we've got a lot of local governments that are interested in piggybacking off the RFP that we did. So we've got letters of interest from like the Metro Health, Port Authority's interested, some of the local municipalities are interested in looking at rec centers, service garages, where right now they're paying 10.5, 11 cents a kilowatt hour. So this would be a way that they wouldn't have to go through the RFP process. They could piggyback off the RFP process that we did and work with the developers to put solar panels on their structures. And then it's locally generated clean energy, obviously.
Okay.
So these are just, I don't know if you can see these very well, sorry, but we've got the 3 buildings, and we've kind of done rough estimates of what the roofs will look like. We've got, this is the medical examiner's building. So this would be on the garage portion of the medical examiner's building, not the main structure. This is the animal shelter. So it'll be it's kind of a curved roof, but they figured out a way to put panels onto the roof. And then this was the Newburgh Heights RTA garage, basically, and there's a lot of space there. And the nice thing about the Newburgh Heights garage is one of the things we needed in order to get a decent price on the electricity is we needed some scale. So we've got about almost a megawatts worth of power here that will help reduce the price and will also help with local governments. So that is my presentation.
Okay. We have a couple questions. First one I have is, why these 3 locations as opposed to anywhere else in the county?
So one is with the new garage in Newburgh Heights. It was they've got a nice flat roof, and it was, as we're developing that, it's made sense to, there's like kind of whole new constructions going on that we try to fit this in. So that worked well. The animal shelter had a lot of sun, and it's on the current CEI contract, First Energy Lines contract, AEP contract. And and the director out there has been talking about this for a while, so she was interested. And the medical examiner's building they use a lot of power out there. And so while this will only cover maybe, this will be a nominal amount of power, maybe 3 to 5% of its power usage, it'll help with peak demand. So, and that is on our CPP contract. And we've got authority under our CPP contract. We can't go above any building. We can't go above 20% of solar, at least for our first 6 years of our contract with them. But this will, so it fits into that system, helps with peak demand on a pretty expensive building. So we're kind of dipping our toes in this, and I'm hoping that, as this works out, then we do another round of this maybe in next year or the year after, and use this as a way again to help get some scale and help local governments who may also want to jump in on it.
Okay, and then how are we gonna keep track of the savings on this? Is that through the billing, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's, we'll get a monthly bill, so we'll have basically two bills. So for each of these buildings, it's net metered, whatever electricity we get from the panels is net metered off of our bill from either CPP at the medical examiner's building or First Energy off the other two buildings. So it's deducted, and we'll get a separate bill from Enerlogics for the power for these buildings.
So it's up to 20% though, that they'll cut it. I mean, I don't think you'd reach that.
We won't reach that over at the medical examiner's office. Now, it's just at the Harvard Road Garage. We're not operating there yet, so we're not sure what the reductions will be yet. But I mean, if you're looking at it right now, it's a pretty high percentage. It could be 50 or 60%, but we're using so little electricity out there. Once it's up and running, it may be a 25% of the total building use over there.
Okay. Ms. Conwell?
Through the chair to the director, are they looking into utilizing the solar in our other buildings?
Yeah, I think we wanted to stick our toe in and just kind of see how this process worked. And, we've never done an RFP for, kind of on a power purchase agreement model for solar. So 3 buildings was like kind of a good place to start, I think. So I think we do want to look at other facilities we've got. We've got like the service garage over here on 16th has a nice flat roof.
Just be on a garage, though, correct?
Correct. It could be on land and kind of land associated. But you do have to be the rules are the panels have to be close to or on the same meter as where the building is at. So if you're in the First Energy territory and CPP's territory, where we've got the Brooklyn landfill, so we're using a concept called virtual net meter, and we're running the electricity into our buildings virtually. But CPP they were good with us on this. They're kind of sticking their toe in on this concept as well. So at least for right now, it's kind of the idea is that you kind of share a meter. The solar shares a meter with the building that's the off taker of the power.
So how much time was put in deciding which locations we would utilize? I think we should have looked at really the HHS buildings that we own, where we utilize a lot of electricity, where we have to keep buildings open for 24 hours. It would have seemed like we would have had more of a savings.
Yeah, actually, we did look at that. It's not as much of a savings. It's a tall building, so in the rooftop space isn't. In fact, we had someone go out and do an analysis of that, and it was both Jane Edna Hunter and the Virgil Brown building. And I mean, I hate to say, but the installers came back and looked at it and said, it'd be a nice thing to do, but it's not going to save you a lot of money because those buildings are 8-story buildings, and they use a lot of electricity. It'd be like 1% to 2% of the total electricity use there. So maybe we'll look at it in the future, especially because it's a peak demand reduction component. At least for this year, we're trying to, let's pick 3 buildings that we can start off
Saying
with.
is the height of the buildings make a big difference with solar panels?
It's just that you've got a lot of usage there, and the square footage of the rooftop is small in comparison to kind of the total square footage of a building, right? So, and the amount of people who are in there using it. So taller buildings have a less of a payback, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Baker?
Yes, thank you. The savings over 25 years, is that including the cost of the solar panels?
Yes. So we did an analysis of what it would cost us for the paying for electricity from the solar panels versus what we would pay on a baseline just if we didn't do anything else. So, and we compared the savings.
So the solar panels versus the regular shingle, that is part of the savings, because I'm sure the solar panels were more expensive. That is included in the 25-year analysis, the cost of the solar panels?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And one other, just a curious question.
Can I just say, we're
Yes.
we're not buying the solar panels, we're just buying the electricity from the solar panels.
Right, but if you're going to do an analysis, I think you need to include all costs, right?
But those aren't our costs. So that's the developer's cost, is to actually buy the panels, install them, maintain them, insure them.
Okay.
And we're just buying the electricity from those panels.
Okay, good. Secondly, just curious, did you say the medical examiner's building was for the garage portion?
Correct.
So, and then the Harvard Road garage, that's just a garage?
It's the new Public Works facility out in Newburgh Heights, so it's, where Public Works has a whole bunch of, they're consolidating a lot of agencies out there, or a lot of kind of work out there, and
Does
so
it
it's a
seem-
big roof.
Does it, given 2 of the 3 here are garages, is that the most efficient use of our solar panels is to put them on garages?
Yes, for this iteration, I think so. I mean, the garage is, it's people are working underneath the garage, right? So it's, it's a big flat roof and we're going to use a lot of electricity out there, so it would offset a lot of electricity.
All right, good to know. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, and you're looking for this to be moved on second reading suspension, given that it's, our summers here are not that long. So I'll make that motion for
Second.
second reading suspension, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, and the ayes have it. Okay, thank you, Mr. Foley.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, the last resolution here.
Resolution number 2019-0098, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 09-00320 for lease of office space and parking spaces located at 1835-1849 Prospect Avenue, Cleveland, for use by Cuyahoga County Veteran Service Commission.
Okay, and if you could state your name for the record.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, John Myers, and members of the committee. On behalf of Department of Public Works, we're presenting this lease amendment. This is for the Veterans Service Commission, which the county has responsibility for providing space for. This is located at 1835 Prospect Avenue. It's approximately 14,000 square feet. We've been in this space since 2009, and this is an additional 5 years, the term running from October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2024, in the amount of $1,050,000.
Okay. Any questions from my colleagues on this?
Just one.
Ms. Baker?
What is the square foot charge?
I'm sorry, I don't have that. It's approximately $14 per square foot.
14.
This is a slight 3% increase from the previous 5 years. It's not each year, but just for the entire 5-year period was a modest increase, which the landlord covers cleaning and some basic utilities and other costs. So it's a reasonable increase.
And if I may, after this long of a period, which is 10 years that we've been there, is there any updates or any remodeling or anything that's going to be done for the next, is it 10 years?
5 years.
5 years?
Mr. Chairman, to Councilwoman Baker, there is not at this time. We surveyed, we walked through with the veterans and made sure that all their needs were being met. Even though the lease is already 10 years old, there was some significant upgrades at the last renewal, so they're in pretty good shape. And this is our time to benefit from the investments that have been made and are currently meeting their needs. In addition, there is an ability to terminate this lease a year early. They are probably going to start evaluating for this next period what their needs and desires would be for doing their good work.
And if I just, how many people do we have in this veterans office?
You know, Mr. Chair, I'm
Approximately,
sorry,
is
I
it
don't know.
100 or 50 or?
It's at least 20, I would
At least
say.
20?
And
And I
it's
asked that.
also where the board, the Veterans Service Commission itself meets, as well as employees who meet the needs of veterans and crisis management and housing and benefits and other services.
I only asked that because it's including the parking spaces.
Yes,
So the parking spaces are included in the rent?
correct. That's all inclusive.
Is that, if I may, is that outdoor parking or
No, it's, Mr. Chairman, Councilwoman, it's indoor parking.
parking? Okay, good.
So the terms of this lease as far as when it runs, the initial lease is October 1st, 2019
Correct, correct, Mr. Chairman, additional 5 years starting in the fall.
I'm sorry. Okay, and so what are we looking for as far as trying to move this along? I see it's,
We have plenty of time, so I don't want to ask your indulgence if we don't have to, and I think we'll be
Okay,
fine
we can
with
do it full
sufficient
3
readings.
okay. Any other questions, Ms. Conwell?
To the chair, to the director, you stated, or to John, you stated that this is a 5-year extension of the contract, but we have a year to get out.
We can end it, essentially make it a 4-year term,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
And-
Councilwoman
and
Conwell.
You stated, you led me to believe that maybe somebody would want to get out. Would that be the Veterans Service
The
Commission?
Veteran Service Commission has continued to look at options, the best way to service their clients, whether it would be, so they've already started thinking about whether this is the spot they want to stay in future years. They've looked at Summit County, who has a brand-new standalone facility that they're looking to see if that's appropriate or desirable, and for Cuyahoga County. So I'm sure they'll be back to you at some point in the next couple of years, but this takes care of their immediate needs and a little bit of flexibility should there be some consensus or clarity on what their next step would be.
And how much say do we have in their moving? I take it that their funding is given through us, so what say do we have in that?
You have all the say in this. The council and the executive, the county has the obligation to provide space for them. Under the Ohio Revised Code, each county has a Veteran Service Commission, but there's not a question, there's no definition of what that means specifically. We have to provide space for their operational needs and of course would want to. So that would be a discussion that they would have to come and discuss with you all to see if what the next steps make sense for the county.
And actually give us a presentation of why they need to expand their
Yes.
space.
Just sharing that was one reason we were provided a little bit of flexibility in the lease should there be some direction or consensus, but it would only be done with your full involvement.
And you said 10 years, this contract was 10 years prior. Where were they located before?
Deb, I was going to look, I know worked on their move. I don't remember where they were before.
Just moved right before county council started.
Yes, to 18th and Prospect.
Okay. If you can get me that information.
Be happy to.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to move this along to second reading. Have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Myers.
Thank you.
Is there any other miscellaneous business before the committee from colleagues here?
Janine can add my name to that one.
Okay, if you
Last
could
one.
add Ms. Conwell's name to the last one, that's, I believe, two today, Ms. Conwell. And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and this committee will adjourn at 10:43 a.m.